Hey, what's going on, Jerry?
Wow.
Welcome.
Wow, that was one heck of moment. I thought I was gonna get fired.
No, not at all, man.
Y-
We're happy to have you here.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was for 5 minutes. I was actually worried about my future career. Yes, but I'm in. So nice to meet you all.
Yeah, you're in, and it's okay. We can go 5 minutes longer than we scheduled. It's
Yeah.
no problem at all. So, good evening, Whale Coin Talk community and Klaytn community. Welcome to our Twitter Spaces. I'm here today with Jerry Wan, head of partnerships. He is going to talk about, first and foremost, talk about Klaytn, but get more specific. And the topic today is guiding Web2 giants on their Web3 adoption journey. And we're definitely going to unpack that as we go. David, we were very happy to have David Shin, excuse me, Jerry. We were
Yeah,
very
that's
happy to
fine.
have we were happy to have David Shin on a few weeks ago, and that was a very educational panel on Klaytn, and we did a deep dive into the ecosystem. But before we get started, tell us a bit about yourself, how you got to be in the crypto space today, and how your journey led you to work for Klaytn, be working for Klaytn.
Well, it's great that you mentioned David. So it all started with David because about 11 or 12 years ago, my first job out of college, I was working for an investment bank in Singapore. And lo and behold, right next to me, there was my boss, David Shin. So even back then, 12 years ago, he was always telling me, "Hey, Jerry, you need to get on Bitcoin. You need to bid on Bitcoin." But while we were working for a futures and options desk in an investment bank, right? So I was a junior guy, just like trying to please my boss. I said, "Oh, boss, what are you talking about? I have no money. I have no money. You know, what investment, whatnot." And one day he got fed up and stole my iPhone and then downloaded a wallet and sent me zero point 0.1 Bitcoin back then. And I think back then it was around maybe 100 US dollars value ish 100 to 150 probably. So that was sort of what a boss can do for his junior, right? So there's something. Okay, here you go, play with it. And a few years passed. I moved on to get my master's degree in New York. And me being Korean, I was one night drunk in Cape Town, and then I talked to a random person who said she was working in crypto, and then I think I sold it to her at around like $400 ish after a few years, and then obviously now we all know what would have happened if I held on to that zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. So after that incident, actually, funny enough, after the MBA, I moved on and I was working for my own family office, investing in real estate. And I sort of made a pact to myself that next time David Shin calls, I'm gonna grab that opportunity and then jump on whichever opportunity that was, right? Because I've seen how he played out for him. And last year, so it's been second year already. Last year he called me up out of blue, and then he was in Singapore. I am still in Korea, and he called me and, uh, hey Jerry, like that he was going to join Kakao, the Web2 giant out of Korea, to lead their global adoption for its own blockchain protocol called Klaytn. And then I think into 5 minutes of conversation, I told him that I'm in. And as I was working for my own family, my then see like the boss, the CEO was my uncle. I walked into his office and said, "Uncle, as much as I love you, I don't love you that much." Uh, so I joined Klaytn out of blue, and then obviously it's been falling down the rabbit hole for everyone else as well.
Yeah, right on. That's quite the story, and it seems to me like David was not just a boss; he was almost a mentor to you.
Yeah, a mentor, and then he led me to this job and this new industry. So everybody, yeah, it's an interesting dynamics. Yes.
Certainly. Well, Jerry, I know that you want to tell us about Klaytn, and I know that we need to talk about the paradigm shift from Web 2 to Web 3. I did a little bit of research and kind of read about where we've come so far with Web 1 from 1990 to 2004. It was mainly static websites owned by companies and for close to zero interaction between users. And then you had Web 2 come around, and Web 2 is the internet that we all know and love today, where companies are pretty much controlling few companies are pretty much controlling most of the data, and it's super advertise oriented. And I want to hear in your words kind of what you it seems like there are a lot of different definitions for Web3 if you go down the rabbit hole. I'm curious to know what your definition of Web3 is. I mean, it was first mentioned by Gavin Wood back in 2014 after the launch of Ethereum, and it's since kind of the meaning has morphed into multiple things, and I'd be curious to know what your thoughts on that are.
Sure. As you just mentioned, Web 2 means many different things to many different people, as the definition of metaverse is different to many different people, right? But for me, the key word for Web3 is ownership. So as you just mentioned, the world that we're living in now, the Google of the world, Gmail of the world, like although I'm a participant in this great economy, great ecosystem, the ownership is not with me, right? What I envision for Web3 is I will hold a portion or all of the activities that I participate in the greater internet ecosystem through blockchain. And I think an NFT is going to be a major tool, and it has been so far a tool for that ownership structure. Uh, Going a bit further, I think an NFT has been a great gateway for a lot of people to get into the Web3 world, blockchain world, and I think it's continued to play a very important component. So NFT so far has been this an image of a monkey in JPEG file for a lot of people. Yes, let's call it NFT 1.0, right? I do believe that we are entering a new era where people are asking, okay, what's the utility of this, right? What can we do with this? So such as BAYC is actually developing the whole ecosystem using its NFT. So I think we are entering the new era where it's more than a picture of something, right? Picture of fancy sneakers or whatnot. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Ownership.
One area that I really see NFTs revolutionizing the way we interface online is video games. And, you know, David and I talked about this quite a bit when he was on for the AMA, but um, I'm curious to know, apart from video games, what are some industries that you see major paradigm shifts, like where NFTs and Web3 revolutionize the way that we understand things? Let's say real estate, for example. Let's say music. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that. You might be muted, Jerry.
Am I on? Am I on? Yep.
Yep. Now you are.
Yeah, sure. So Klaytn as a protocol, we have decided on gaming as a theme for pursuing our initiative. As you mentioned, David has probably talked about it. But if I can throw in a new theme or industry where NFT or Web3 can really revolutionize how people react, how people react to one another, is actually reward or reward system. What I can talk about is we have an ecosystem partner who issues NFT for your purchase. So that's easy, right? If I buy a $10 worth of product, I get, let's say, one NFT. But what an NFT revolutionized compared to Web 2 of the world is that this NFT, let's say I bought a Nike shoes and I got issued a Nike NFT. Okay, that's fine. But would I be able to interoperate this NFT over to, let's say, go to Air Miles, right? And then use it for purchasing a ticket for my next purchase. In this Web3 world, using NFT, this will be possible because obviously using a bridge, my NFT on this side of the on this particular chain that is adopted by Nike, we can move it over to another chain that is being used by another, let's say on airlines, and then use it over there to get a discount. So I think reward system or mileage industry is going to reap a great benefit from NFTs.
And Jerry, the topic of this panel is guiding Web2 giants on their Web3 adoption journey, right? What do you think it's going to take for titans like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Amazon, Reddit to make that move over? And do you think that's even going to be good for those companies to kind of shift gears over the next, let's say, 10 years into the Web3 world?
Oh, I think all the listeners or participants of today's AMA, we are all believers in Web3 world. So I think I think we as a whole group, we believe that that's the general direction, that Web2 companies cannot but to move to Web3 world. And particularly me wearing a hat as the head of partnerships for Klaytn, all day long I talk to Web2 giants, right? Because I think we are backed by a Web2 giant ourselves, right? So I think we speak the same language when we talk to, let's say, Microsoft of the world or Facebook of the world, that what we should do in a collaborative manner, rating ourselves for Web3 world, right? So let's say I talk to Microsoft, or like let's say if that's way too specific, let's say company A, and then we ask them, hey, everybody's talking about metaverse, everybody's talking about Web3. Don't you guys don't you have to do something? We ask them a question, and then they have all these questions that we can kindly answer to. But at the same time, setting up whole layer one protocol for themselves is going to be a huge amount of work, right? If you think about developers and then 24/7 outage control, everything. So we kindly guide them. Hey, you know what? We are from Kakao. We are $80 billion total market cap company out of Korea. We have built this amazing protocol. It is time proven for the last 3 years. We are the number one blockchain protocol out of Korea, and we are trying to go global. And then, since you are a global Web2 giant, why don't we work together? Why don't you build your dApp or metaverse, or even mint NFT for the first time on us? We can help you guide that way. And a lot of times what I find out is they feel more comfortable working with like a sort of semi-hybrid decentralized chain such as ourselves, rather than, let's say, completely decentralized blockchain protocols of the world. I think there's a accountability issue or counter credit risk, etc. So that me, Jerry Won, can be chaseable, right? Like they can call me at my desk phone, but however, for some protocols, how are going to be called out? How are gonna go after them when in times of chaos?
So you would argue that too much decentralization is actually not a good thing?
For this particular case, for guiding Web2 giants into Web3 world, that journey for them, I think working with a protocol such as ourselves makes more sense. However, obviously for crypto native projects, crypto native dApps, right? Of course, decentralized world serves more truthful to the core definition of blockchain. So I'm not saying it's one answer for all.
So ownership through NFTs, censorship resistance, DAOs, some might argue, and even being able to control 100% of your digital identity, these are all value propositions for Web3, and these are very exciting. And I encourage audience members to go and kind of dive deep into what each one of these means. We can certainly do that more if we have time towards the end of the AMA, but this is more high level. Jerry, I want to know what you think some Web3 limitations are. What's stopping adoption from happening? What's going to make us lag behind? And ultimately, what needs to be done to rectify these limitations so that we can, have a seamless transition over?
Oh, of course. When we talk about, let's say, Web3 world, when we talk about metaverse in Web3 world, but you and I both know, let's say, if we hold a metaverse concert, it's not all the activities or not all the back end of holding a metaverse concert is going to be on blockchain, right? NFT component to the metaverse concert will be on blockchain. However, all the graphics, all the audios, all the it's not everything is going to be on blockchain, and actually bulk of it is still going to be on cloud or servers. So I think there is a limitation right as of today on blockchain. The capacity to the storage and the memory space, the capacity, the speed at which we can compute. I think there are a lot of limitations. That's why a lot of, let's say, P2E games as of today have sort of a simpler look than all the AAA games of the world that we are used to, right? So I think people who are used to Web3 high resolution, high quality games, or the latency, of course, they're going to find metaverse games to be somewhat. I think that's casual is the word that they adopted. But yeah, so we got a long way to go. But I think the general direction, everybody's agreeing that Web3 is the future.
Sorry, there. Having some trouble with my mic.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
So Jerry, what needs to happen for scalability to improve to a point where we reach, or Web3 is able to reach Web2 speeds? Is that even possible? Is Ethereum 2.0 the answer, right? So maybe a future where Ethereum layer 1 becomes a chain of proofs and users execute transactions and trades predominantly on highly efficient layer 2 rollups. What are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, completely agree with you. So right now, as Klaytn is also, we are one of lots of protocols out there, and I think for blockchain world, Web3 world to evolve, I think there needs to be a high concentration of development, investment, whatnot. So I do think that in a few years time, or let's say in 10 years time, there going to be a small group of blockchain protocols that survive and sort of come up and be the norm, because not all the protocols out in the world can invest in themselves in terms of scalability or the speed, etc. So Klaytn is pretty confident that we are going to be standing in 5 years time, 10 years time, because as you know, we are backed by a humongous tech giant. So we are ready to invest in ourselves, and we are ready to be at the forefront, and we are quite confident to be standing. Kakao is not going anywhere in 5 years time, 10 years time, and then yeah.
And Jerry, how is Klaytn utilizing that budget? How are you guys marketing yourselves? How are you creating exposure? I know that you're really, really huge on that side of the planet, in Korea, in Singapore, in Southeast Asia. But what are you guys doing to kind of spread the word of who you are and what you're building across the globe?
I think we have to draw a distinction between, let's say, how it was a month ago and how it is now and going forward next few months, because obviously we all know that we are in a different climate as of today. Let's take a step back, and then let's say a month ago, as you know, we are betting ourselves huge on gaming and entertainment. So we were large backers. We were backing large NFT projects often, gaming projects often, more, I guess, in a more liberal way or liberal manner. But however, right now the mode is to be quite selective and then get a greater scrutiny on the who the project runners are, etc. Obviously, as you know, in the Web3 world, a lot of projects are run with an anonymous group of leaders who tend not to divulge who they really are, etc. But let's say if you compare, let's say a month ago, we would have been more liberal, supporting those kind of projects as well, because who knows, amongst, let's say, all these NFT projects, who knows, BAYs, the next BAYC might come up. But however, right now we are at a more conservative, more safe mode. However, we cannot stop what we are doing, because if you don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. So we still work very closely with a lot of AAA gaming studios in Korea and of the world, actually, because Korea Blockchain Week is coming, and then there are a lot of global gaming studios are coming into Korea. We are holding lots of meetings with them. So we are still investing in these major sort of globally recognizable names, but less on the smaller sort of to the moon projects.
You said earlier that you anticipate down the line very few of these layer ones that we see today will exist, will be left standing. I'm curious to know, at a high level, what are the distinguishing properties that you believe those winners will have and currently do have that will allow them to triumph over the rest?
Of course, I'm not going to fool myself believing that I have the foresight in which one of us is going to stand or not. I'm not as delusional myself. However, obviously, those protocols who work internally more, let's say, than only external marketing, I think we all have to be cautious for those who are such good at like selling themselves rather than working themselves internally in terms of like development resources, always investing in the technology rather than sponsoring another free flow drinks event at a conference. I think we have to be quite cautious, only focusing in near term sort of a price hike. We, Klaytn, because we cannot just pump and dump due to our original background and company backing us, etc. So we have to be plan for the long term rather than like, oh, I'm gonna shoot up the price for the next 6 months and I'm gonna cash ourselves out. We cannot have that mindset. So always focus on those protocols who have responsibility to its holders and communities, that they cannot just walk away easily.
That's fair. And one thing that I found very unique about Klaytn was their governance structure, specifically the Klaytn Governance Council. And David and I talked a bit about this, but we have a lot of new audience members that are joining us today, and I would love to hear you give a breakdown of how many members belong to it, how many of them are DAOs, how big are each of these governance councils, and give us a high-level overview, please.
Sure. If I were to explain about that, where Klaytn has started. It started about 3 years ago out of Korea, and when it started out of Korea, obviously, governance councils, we call them GC members. A lot of them were Korea-based, and Kakao being our backer, a few of them were actually Kakao entities. Because Kakao is a web giant, we have mobility arm, we have entertainment arm, we have gaming arm, etc. So a few of the GC members were Kakao related, but many of them were all Web2 sort of enterprises, and then we specifically wanted to compose the GC structure in that way to give out this message that we are enterprise grade blockchain. So you feel safe working with us, because we are governed by this group of very capable Web2 enterprises. Well, comes 3 years later. Now we've met our goals, being the dominant blockchain protocol in Korea. So we are now entering what we call internally Klaytn 2.0. So Klaytn 2.0, we're obviously trying to go global, hence why David is here, hence why I'm here. We we come to a realization that we cannot have the same sort of structure or components of a GC structure in Klaytn 2.0 era compared to, let's say, 3 years ago. So we are right now, as you speak, we are in a process of reorganizing GC members, and I think we put out a PR message a few days ago. Jump Trading has joined us at GC, and it's all in our medium. We are actively globalizing the members of GC, and also, as you mentioned, DAO. Now we are, of course, we are realizing how important to have a DAO community embedded with Klaytn ecosystem. So I believe we are talking a few DAOs already to invite them as a GC member, but we have not done so far. So right now, the number of GCs at Klaytn is around 35. And by the end of year, we are expecting it to grow to 50. A few of them will be, we are considering to invite DEX, we're DAO, gaming studios, but we are more towards the global sort of audience.
Understood. And I wanted to circle back, David, to Web3 limitations. We talked about accessibility and scalability, and currently another limitation that Web3 applications have is the number of extra steps. It oftentimes these Web3 apps actually, let me rephrase that. What will it take for a lot of these Web3 apps that we know and love today to behave seemingly in the same way as a lot of the Web3 ecosystem that we're familiar with today, right? So making it easier for grandma and grandpa and everyday users to adopt and use the interface.
Oh, I think you're scratching my itch point. I think all of us probably who wanted to purchase an NFT on OpenSea probably felt the great struggle, right? Of converting our fiat into crypto, and then crypto to buy it on OpenSea, etc. And even for Clay users, that's another struggle, because Clay is not, I'm pretty sure all the listeners here are connecting from different areas of the world, but there are some countries where simply purchasing Clay is not that easy. And I think as much and I obviously. So we are actually talking to a few projects where an in-app purchase. Let's say you open up your wallet and then you can to purchase, let's say, Klaytn-based NFT or Ethereum-based NFTs in that wallet itself, and there has been quite an improvement in that user UX experience. But obviously, on the flip side of the token, some Web3, I guess, realist would argue that if you were to use your credit card or fiat, obviously you're going to leave trail on the and identity of the purchaser or the seller. Yes, so there, I think it always comes back to this ideology sort of debate where how decentralized or how open source does it have to be for the user to sacrifice its UX experience, right? So, but I'm one of those like Web2 people recently converted into Web3 world, that UX and UI are key components or key factors for these everyday people on the streets. They get converted into Web3. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more. I think there's a fine medium, and I'm just like you. I grew up with the internet. I was a computer nerd, and it's very easy for me to shift over. It's very easy for me to pick this stuff up, but it's not so easy for my parents. But even I'll do you one better. Even most of my friends, it's not that easy for them. You know, they don't want to deal with the wallets
Right.
and the transactions and storing their private keys and stuff. So, you know, this kind of leads me to my next question. Is a big advantage of Web 2 is that all the participants are connected to a central authority. So something goes wrong, there is someone to help
Yes,
you, right?
yes.
And this allows for information to propagate quickly. Where in contrast, Web3 may have participants on opposite edges, and it results in broadcasts taking way too much time. There's no one to go to if your funds go to the wrong wallet, if you get hacked. It's a wild west. So, at a high level, what are some solutions that Klaytn is working on, that Klaytn is implementing to bridge the speed gap between Web 2 and Web 3, but also find a healthy medium where people can benefit from this wonderful technology and all the innovation that it's bringing, but also feel, maybe I'm asking for too much, but feel safe and secure at the same time.
I think okay. I think that's a wonderful question, and then there are many different ways to tackle that question. But me being a let me approach it from sort of organizational perspective. Uh, we at Klaytn Foundation, we are not as wild or uh, we are at heart we are crypto natives because that's why we are working here rather than, let's say, working for a bank anymore. We have all chose to be working for a blockchain protocol. So I think at heart we are all believers in this technology and the Web3 world. However, the way we work, the way we communicate internally to each other are quite conservative. I'm not going to call ourselves Web 2, but we are quite respectful for one another. And then we have a chain of command. And then, of course, you can share your views to the top level, or there's no top or down bottom, but what you can freely opine yourself. However, the way we approach things, the way we, even from engineering perspective, there are milestones that are clearly depicted over this year, next year, and then there are checkpoints, there are deliverables. If your deliverable is not met, even working with external parties, right? Like, I deal with external partners, and they come to us. Oh, we have an NFT projects. Could you kindly support us X amount of money, right? Of course, we're gonna do it if your project is deemed to be, promising. However, this is not a just like here's X amount of money and you can do whatever you want. You can spend it at a bar. No, there are deliverables, and there are going to be checkpoints, and they're going to be like it's all going to be staggered payments. So what I'm trying to get at is, as much as decentralized mantra, we chant externally and as a whole community, we cannot be free willy about how we run about our business, because at the end of the day, there are people who are risking their investments, hard-earned money, on dApps, on NFTs, on metaverse purchases, whatever, that we have to be responsible, make sure that our industry as a whole moves on to goes as we have to exceed the expectation of Web 2 era, right? So we are not there yet. So we first have to meet the expectation of Web 2 era, and then we're going to be exceeding it. So for that to happen, I think there has to be the leaders of the industry or the participants of the industry have to be responsible in the work they do. It cannot be all about the after parties. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean, right? Like it just cannot be, right? Yeah. If ever,
I,
if,
I,
yeah,
I couldn't agree more with that
yeah,
sentiment.
yeah. Someone has to actually make sure that your protocol does not get outage, and if there is an outage, someone has to be there make sure that we get back on the online as fast as we can. And I think that's where Klaytn, I just have to keep promoting myself, but we are different in that sense. Yeah, I'm gonna get a phone call, and I'm gonna call somebody, and then there's gonna be a chain of reactions.
I'm going to go all the way to the left here and ask you for your thoughts on whether you envision a day where centralized companies like Facebook, Amazon, and Google are disassembled by legislature, and ultimately this leading to a rise of decentralized, unregulated DAOs.
Wow. Wow. I mean, yes, of course we are living in everybody holds a different view, but I think there is I think my answer to the previous question sort of it relates to your current question.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a beauty, or there's a benefit. I have to be careful here. There's a benefit of for users' experience perspective. I'm not talking about the theology of like, does internet have to be owned by a few giants? No, I'm not answering to that question. But I'm saying from the user experience perspective, I do enjoy how how I can, how I get answers from Google. I think I can start with that answer. I think I enjoy how I can be purchasing different services on Google rather than, let's say, have to visit 20 different mediums to get my answers filled or to get my products purchased. So there is a beauty in it. But however, if the legislation dissects these giants, obviously that opens up a whole lot of opportunities for a whole lot of entities. And I do think that, as you mentioned, DAO is standing strong to fill that gap, because a DAO, as I mentioned before, I think a group is most strongest when the members or participants are there out of their own will, and DAO is a clear example of that. And there's nothing that uh, you know it's such a strong power that all the people are there out of their own will and willing to sacrifice their time and brain and the energy into to creating something, rather than, let's say paying somebody a few $1,000s and then to make them sit in front of the desk. So I think DAO is obviously going to be, and it is still evolving to be a great a strong member of the whole universe. But I think envisioning where legislation is going to dissect all the giants, I think that's a bit of stretch.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
I certainly don't. It was more of
Yeah, of course.
a
Yeah. What? Yeah.
curveball to see what your thoughts are. But look, I do agree with you, right? Decentralized companies that collect our data. It's a double-edged sword, because
Yep.
like you said, they it helps them serve us better content, right? I use Google for a lot of things, like, and it's great. And to be fair, a lot of us willingly give up this privacy for cool apps like Facebook, Twitter, Google, whatever floats your boat. So, do you envision a day where anyone can connect to the internet without having to go through an ISP?
Oh, I may not be the best person to answer that question, but I have, when you talk about the social networking capability of Web3 world, I have run into this great project actually yesterday, that, like when you hold an NFT, let's call it BAYC, right? Of course you can find a Discord channel where all the members, kind of congregate, and then but your message gets clouded so easily, right? Like your message gets, like, passed so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Recent sort of our ecosystem partner are working on this social network, social what is like a social chat capability, where you can talk to someone with holding that NFT, the same NFT type, and then I guess your ownership obviously gets authenticated using their own technology, and then it allows a corridor of communication amongst the members, right? I think this this is another way for Web3 social networking communities will evolve. Right now, Discord channel is and Telegram channels are and Reddits are probably the only the most popular mediums. But I do think that the authentication capability has come up so good that there will be a chat or social network capability after authentication sort of a checkpoint going forward.
That makes sense. And do you think that there will be a point where we can buy? Well, it'll be like a hybrid between Web 2 and Web 3, where you can buy stuff like Amazon gift cards and groceries and services, but do it anonymously and pay with Ethereum through your MetaMask.
Well, yes, is that it involves legislation perspective, legality of it as well. But of course, U.S. is quite stringent when it comes to allowing cryptos to as form of payment. However, some countries are not, and of course, those I guess a bit more libertarian countries you can certainly envision that era. Korea is unfortunately a bit more more on the conservative side because there is a user identification that needs to be performed before using a crypto in centralized exchanges and centralized marketplaces. However, DEX are still sort of quite libertarian. So yeah, I think what you envision is certainly coming, and I think to a certain degree it is already here.
What excites you most about what Klaytn is building, and what are some incentives currently that the Klaytn Foundation has implemented to get users to bridge over their funds and assets and become participating members of your ecosystem? And I'll give you an example. A lot of these EVM compatible blockchains will oftentimes work with projects like Aave, Curve, and Uniswap, have them bridge over and then provide liquidity incentives for those respective dApps. So what are you guys doing to get people to come over?
Oh, sure. I think we at Klaytn, we have acknowledged that we were a bit lacking in terms of the bridge solution that we provided in the past. That's why we have recently onboarded Wormhole, and then the Wormhole integration is fully accomplished, and now we need more DeFi services, etc., using those Wormhole bridge so that the interoperability that you refer to is more freely available. So I think putting in all these third-party, let's say, services, let's just call it, like bridge and oracles, and sometimes APIs and SDKs, all these tools in place within your ecosystem, so that we invite users to come and play. I think that's the key, rather than I don't think it makes sense for us to guide someone's Web3 participants' behavior. We cannot just like sit in one room and 5 people. I don't care how smart you are. We cannot draw people's user journey on a like a whiteboard. I think putting the right tools in place so that, okay, here you go, why don't you come and play? I think that's what we're trying to do, and we are at this moment putting in the tools that were not readily available in Klaytn ecosystem in place right now, and it's almost done. So we are expecting second half of this year and the next year we're going to see a lot more community driven activities to flourish, hopefully not now.
Love it. I love it. Who are some Web2 giants that Klaytn is currently guiding on their on their journey to Web3?
Oh, of course, there are a lot of entities that I cannot provide names. However, the ones that we have published so far, GMO Internet of Japan, Salim Group of out of Indonesia are two ones that are already out in the public. However, trust me, there are so many gaming studios. Obviously, gaming studios out of Korea, they're already public. Netmarble, NeoWiz. These are Netmarble has recently launched, not recently, but a few months back, launched their protocol MBX Marblex on Klaytn. So there are a lot of gaming studios, and then there are a lot of like Asia-based conglomerates who have already signed up. But at the same time, we are talking to many of the Web2 giants in US, but obviously it takes longer time to do all the administrative a bit bureaucratic like a milestones to go through so that we can announce. But yeah, they find completely at ease working with Klaytn or Kakao compared to other chains because we are another sort of another peer of themselves.
Jerry, I really enjoyed talking to you, and I really enjoyed the conversation off the fly back and forth that we've had. With David, it was a lot more structured, and that was also really educational. I'd love to have both of you guys on in the future and maybe do a tag team, maybe do something more structured, less structured. We can definitely talk about that offline. I could probably pick your brain for another 2 hours if you let me, but just being cognizant of your time and our community's time, I wanted to let some audience members ask questions. I only ask that audience members you keep your question to just one, so that we can have everyone that has their hand up gets an opportunity to ask.
Sure.
So, yep, I'm just gonna go down the list. Let's go with Maxwell Investor. And it takes a bit for when I call people up. There we go. Maxwell, go for it. Yes.
Operability, providing cross-chain interaction and multiple blockchain. How does Klaytn achieve this? Do you just need KYC to enjoy all the awesome feature of Klaytn? Klaytn has become a very new innovation in DeFi. What step do you think need to be taken to make it a constant pillar of the Web 3.0 DeFi and financial revolution we are talking about?
Okay, Maxwell, nice. Thanks for the question. I think the question was how we encourage the interoperability from Klaytn perspective, and I think one of the questions I previously answered to is tied with it. I think putting in the top quality bridge is the key. You cannot. There are a lot of bridges in the world, right? And according to my knowledge, Wormhole is one of the market leading bridge, and I think we have recently completed the integration. So I think the tools are ready. But yes, how do we encourage the liquidity coming over, going out? Yes, we need more DEX and DApps servicing those interoperabilities. So we obviously I think David might have mentioned this. To grow our ecosystem, we have a growth fund grant program. Klaytn Growth Fund is called KGF. So we, of course, we need to enrich these players in our ecosystem. So we provide grants to different projects to bring about a lot of activities, including liquidity.
Great. Thank you for the question, and thank you for that thorough breakdown, Jerry. Let's go with Captain Levi next.
All right. Thanks. Hi, Jerry. Great explanation so far. It's a really great project. I have just 3 questions, and here's my first question. from your light paper, I saw that Klaytn's performance will be boosted through the combination of network upgrades and layer 2 solutions, allowing it to handle a massive number of transactions. You've explained some of these solutions already, but I wanted asking, you're already a giant, the South Korean giant, social media giant has already drawn attention to your project, but other companies like Facebook and I think Amazon, they're also doing something similar. Are you going to be partnering with them when this is done?
Yes, that's what the partners team is working hard. Yes, we want to partner with all the mega companies of the world. Yes, because us being one, and also quickly on the TPS. Yes, we have achieved 4,000 TPS, but we are aiming for 10,000 TPS by the end of this year. So, and then you can ask the second question, maybe.
Okay, yeah. Still on that TPS, I wanted asking you. This means that you started implementing some of these solutions already, right?
Yes, yes. Everybody, all the engineering team is working hard on it.
Can you give us a breakdown of some of them?
Uh, I'm not an engineer, so I think I'm not the best person to answer that. How we're gonna achieve 10,000 TPS, but on the structure note, on the very top level, uh, there are our engineering team is huge. I think it's around at least more than 50 people, and then there are milestones. I know there's a weekly deliverable checkpoint, so you can refer to our Medium to follow up on our engineering timeline.
All right. I'm pretty sure that the engineering team, it's really cool for them to be able to carry out up to 4,000 TPS. Here's my
Yes.
question. From the looks of things, I saw
Wait,
that you.
Captain Levi, I'm really sorry, brother. We're trying to do one question per
Okay.
person.
All right. No problems.
But I appreciate it. It was a good one. Let's
Thank you,
go
Captain.
next with Felicity.
Velicity.
Let's try someone else. Let's go with let's go with David here.
David. Yep.
My question is, there are many new gamers entering into Web3 gaming, and the opportunity is huge for them as well. The new gaming project. How do you see this market in upcoming years to come? Thank you.
That's a great question, right? X Infinity, right? Obviously, the market leading P2E game. Uh, if you ask me, right, is that the most fun game to play? I'm gonna be the one who's gonna say like not particularly for me, but obviously whole tokenomics of it like that's another separate that's a separate topic. But I think the key for a new blockchain game is the fun side of it. Like, do you actually enjoy playing the game? And I think the existing AAA or AA gaming studios, they have their know-how to develop a quality game with quality IP. IPs are expensive, right? So only large gaming studios they can invest in it. So for example, Netmarble in Korea is going to launch Nino Kuni. I think a lot of you may have heard that IP before from the Web 2 of the world. So they're gonna issue a blockchain game on Netmarble on Klaytn with Netmarble on Klaytn with the Nino Kuni IP. So the blockchain games are moving towards to quality IP and quality, like a fun to play sort of storytelling and the structure of the game.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. What is the
Thank you.
best way to follow all your upcoming news and updates? What are your
Medium.
plans in coming future?
Medium is the in the Telegram and Instagram, everything is there, but Medium, I think it provides the most contents. So thank you.
Alrighty, next up is Mr. Investor. Mr. Investor?
What?
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Can you explain which one your top priority security product partnership or token price?
Could you kindly repeat that question, Mr. Investor?
Okay, sir. Can you stake your NFT for additional reward? If not now, in future, there is any chance for NFT staking program on your platform?
Can you stake NFT? I think what you're I think you're hitting a very important topic. I think David may have touched that topic before when he talked about gaming. Let's specifically talk about GameFi, and then we are envisioning a world where you can stake your NFTs from the gaming while you're not playing, so that you earn while even if you're not playing, right? So DeFi of NFTs, especially in GameFi space, we are heavy better in that direction, and those decks we are actually even incubating internally for that functionality. So great question.
Right on. Thank you for that. I'm going to go with Young Savior.
Young Savior.
Young Savior, you there, brother? Okay, let's try to go with Fat Kyle. Fat Kyle, you there?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yep. Hey, Kyle.
My question, what is your tokenomics distributor?
Okay. I think we was having some
for tokenomics, right? Like obviously it's all in the white paper, etc. So I'm not gonna get into like every bit of the tokenomics, but please kindly visit our website and then read on the tokenomics component. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And Jerry, before you go, I was curious to know if there was anything about this topic, guiding Web2 giants on their Web3 journey that we haven't touched upon, that we haven't discussed, that you wanted to unpack.
Sure. I think the quite recently there has been a lot of news articles that come out. Let's say HSBC buying a land in a sandbox, and a lot of these like Gucci and Burberry, they buying this they buying this lot in metaverse, etc. I think Web2 companies are dabbing into Web3 world by way of metaverse, and obviously metaverse being and then they mint NFTs, so they are being cautious, building their own tokenomics, because obviously maintaining a well-driven tokenomics is a 24/7 task, so they don't want to do that. They'll rather just try with NFT minting here and there and buying something in sandbox in metaverse. But I think the next era is for the Web2 companies actually issuing their tokens on in Web3 world. That will allow integration of tokenomics into the fiat currency world. I believe crypto is almost becoming a component of fintech now. I think in the past, the fintech is good, and crypto was evil, that I think there was that sort of a optics, but I think we are legitimate a component of fintech. So yeah, so the next, I'm looking for the next phase of the Web2 giants coming to Web3 because it'll involve tokenomics. But so far, no. But yeah, I think it's coming.
So, what are some? Can you give us any examples of the tokenization of Web2 currencies that are currently happening on Web3 or that are about to happen on Web3? Hope you understand my question.
I don't think I have a perfect example as of today because we are not there yet, as I mentioned. But I think, let's say for HSBC, or let's just say Burberry, right? I think Burberry bought a store footage in a sandbox. For us in the users of sandbox to be able to purchase or even get a refund. I think that's gonna be an amazing a transaction to be performed in the metaverse. I think have metaverse is metaverse only because there's a tokenomics involved. If there's no on-ramp, off-ramp activities in the metaverse, that's just what we call Web2 game, right? So for tokenomics to get involved in the metaverse and Burberry or Nike of the world to be transacting those activities with metaverse users, I think that is going to be fantastic because that's the true metaverse that I define.
Beautifully put. I couldn't have said that better myself.
Yeah.
And one last question from me, Jerry. Again, I want to be cognizant of your time. I know you're a busy man. David and I, we, as I mentioned before, did a deep dive into Klaytn. But is there anything about Klaytn that you are eager to tell us about, that are you eager to share with us? Please go ahead and do so now.
As I have briefly mentioned before, it's not only for Klaytn, but I think it's a message that we all, as a blockchain protocol community, to be mindful, is that holders and investors are highly embedded with our diligence or our professionalism because they have put in money into our protocols. So what I can assure you is that at Klaytn Foundation or even the backer at Kakao, we are fully cognizant of it. We don't take our role as lightly. We are not, and because what I can tell you right now is a lot of protocols. I have to be super careful here, but we are going to be here next year, 5 years time, 10 years time. So I think we have to be, as an industry, quite professional about the way we operate. And I just wanted to draw a line that we are quite professional about things, rather than, let's say, I don't want to pinpoint anybody, but of all the protocols out in the world.
I love it. Jerry, I want to thank you again for being with us today. I really enjoyed that back and forth. These fireside chats are something that I'm doing more of by the day. And this is Klaytn's second AMA with us, and these have both been incredibly educational experiences, not just for me, but for our community. I can certainly attest to that with the feedback I've gotten afterwards. So, like I mentioned a bit earlier, anytime Jerry, you and David want to come back, or anyone else from your team wants to come, or if you guys want to come and do a super panel, we would always be happy to have you here on our podium. It was a real pleasure having you today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and also the Q&A session. It was amazing. I'm so glad to realize that I was not only talking to myself. And thank you for the community. And then, yep, we will love to come back. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Whale Coin Talk community. My name is Noah. That was Jerry from Klaytn. And this was a really pleasant AMA. Jerry Won, thank you for being with us again. Whale Coin Talk community, remember that everything you hear on Whale Coin Talk is for educational purposes only. We are here as a podium to bring on a wide array of crypto and blockchain projects from across the space and educate you best we can. But always remember to do your own research and invest only what you're willing to lose. This is Noah signing off. Everyone have a great day. Bye-bye.